Meet at 8 a.m. at R9. We'll drive into West Millstone. We will stop for food / coffee. That's you. / energy drink / bio. Yeah. Then go to Lamar. I'm going to shoot for Lamar Valley first. Then stay there for, I don't know, 3-4 hours. It just depends on action, what's going on, right? If there's like nothing happening, then you just have to drive around. Then lunch in Mammoth. And then go back out. Can someone do me a favor right now? Look up Sunset and Broken Mountain.
Oh,
7:57.
Yeah, 7:57. So we want to be at a campsite by about no later than 6:30, probably. At 6:30, we'll give you about an hour left of flight. Thereabouts to set up tents. Pull everything out, set up tents. I think an hour is enough to set up a tent. I feel like most of you can set up a tent in 10 minutes. But
it like
yeah,
pops up.
it's not a big deal. That gives you enough time to set up a tent, get situated where things are, find the bathroom, find the shower. That way you know where things are. And then you can settle for that. Then you go back to partner if you want food or whatever. Right? Okay. Back to field at camp. Around 6:30 p.m. Wake up and leave. 7 would be good, but let's be realistic and say 8 a.m. And leave 8 a.m. Break down everything by 8. Start Lamar and go to Hayden Valley. Those of you familiar with Yellowstone, you kind of picture that in your mind. That's how you go. And then go out from West Coast. Come back. Are you all comfortable with what you should bring, or do you need to get your some kind of itinerary or suggested items?
I'll take some.
All right. First thing you want to bring is clothes.
Whoa. No way.
I suggest yourself.
Not right. Some kind of clothes. Are you good with this? Can I? Do you need a photo of this? It's like generally the plan.
Maybe this one.
Okay. All right, close. Medication that you have of some kind. If you have that. Water bottle, probably. Snacks. Anybody just bring like sandwiches or something?
Maybe. I'm excited.
Yeah. I mean, we're gonna stop at some place where we can grab just in case, but if you don't want to spend any money on it, you have to bring some back. Right. Snacks / food. Tennis. Sleeping pad. And what else did you bring?
Speaking of pets, I sent you that.
Yes. Your own binos, if you have your own binos.
No, that's big. If someone doesn't
All
work.
right. Who didn't have your own sense? Are you fine? Sure. No, you don't care. Okay. There you go. Yes. I mean, you have to. All right, so in that case, I just need to rent possibly one for Izzy. And then I'll rent one extra. Like, what if we get there? You know, that would be hilarious. And I would make everyone stop pointing at them all after class. That would be mean for us. Yeah. But we should probably have that. I think, I'm not sure, I'm not a confirmation. Anything else?
The rheology, Iowa.
She wasn't in Carolina. She was my co-advisor. She thinks she wants to come. So we'll see how that is. One thing I know for sure, the whole inclusion here. You ever hear someone that's wow, this is not a building? I'm here.
Should we still invite you?
Did I work in a? I worked in Colderness. That didn't happen until I was volunteering. There was something before that called the Nearing Miles program for undergraduates. That was a nationally funded thing for states that had a lot of first gen or were undergrad science states. So, and I know from so it was just called the Nearing Miles for undergraduates to go. I did that. Is there anything else you can hear? Not really. It'll probably be at night. It's probably going to be like in this like 35-degree range to 40. I'm going to say probably somewhere in there in the middle of the night. Yeah, which is amazing for sleeping in a sleeping bag. That's but in the morning when we leave, so yeah, that's perfectly comfortable.
I was just there this weekend.
We were up there this weekend. So during
the day, 70, right? At night, and you drive down to that. I actually shut off because I'm so cold.
Yeah, it'll be chill. I'm gonna just bring out a one of these shirts is just long. Know yourself to know it's gonna be cold. There's somebody that comes every time. Okay, I think that's about it. I think that's good enough. So I will. What?
Swimsuits.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, if you want to do that.
Yeah.
Leah told me.
Yes.
That's up to you guys. I'm not gonna bother. Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's everything. There's my driver. Austin, you're my other driver, right? Wait, who's my drivers? Walker and okay. Driver. Tara. Leah, Nick, you're my other driver. Okay.
We're checking fire.
Are there fires up there right now?
Yellowstone is a state. Yeah, so sometimes they.
Yeah. I didn't know if there was an active wildfire though. Is there an active wildfire? I haven't heard of one, but that doesn't mean anything. If there's a stage 1 fire ban, you can still use gas camp stoves. No, not at all. Yeah. Yeah.
No, it was stage 1. You still didn't have fires. In the middle fire.
Yeah. All right. Hit these lights if you would.
I don't like.
Okay. We got the logistics figured out. We're good to go. I would suggest pulling out your tent just to make sure it's good before you don't even check. I've done that before. I think anybody that owns a tent has done that before. Yeah. But I'll rent 2 and 2 sleeping bags and 2 sleeping pads from outdoor rack. Just in case. So we good. I think all those things matter for this. If you don't have stuff like that you got worse, go down to that and rent stuff.
Are there trees there in the yard by chance?
There are some, but
Yeah, because
I doubt you're gonna deal with it because we're out in like this area. The trees are next to like park sites. So if there's someone who's bringing up certain tentacles and between those. I like having a camping person. All right. What we're going to talk about then now is the primary animal that we're going to be searching for, looking at, which is bison. The species name of which is bison. Perhaps the easiest species name. Okay, this is your American bison. This is just a picture of them in the outside. Right? So, what are we going to talk about? Some distribution, how they've changed now versus what they used to be. All right, we have a solid foundation of evidence of what they were. Conservation efforts associated with them, their taxonomy, which has recently been updated, which I'll share with you. The paper that was updated, caused the update in 2021. So there is a phylogenetic tree in the slideshow. I just left it there as a demonstration of things are changing all the time, obviously. Then we're going to talk a little bit about their evolution, some biogeography, their digestive physiology, which will definitely be on your midterm exam for sure. And then just their overall cultural significance. When you think of bison, you kind of think of what? The America, and you think of like the American West, right? Like that's like the thing that people think of. At least the thing that most people I know think of when you hear bison, it's like, oh, it's the American West, like out near the Rockies, cattle ranching, and all this, that, and the other. It's all those things. So this is the historic range of bison. You'll see it comes all the way out here in Pennsylvania, all the way down to Georgia, down into Louisiana, all the way down into Mexico. Right? They used to be everywhere out here. Then you kind of get constricted because they're hunting. This is a photo of bison hunts where they would just essentially, I don't know another word for it other than just like poaching slaughter, really. I mean, that's what it was. It wasn't like we're just going to hunt bison for food and we're just going to leave it at that. It was like just extermination of all of them. Not a great plan, but this was really common, right? In the 19th and early 20th centuries, this eradication of species was really, really common. If it was deemed a pest or deemed in any way, this got rid of it. This is what happened to bison, this happened to pest. You kind of shrink down and you get to the late 19th century and you have like two larger pockets up in here. This, of course, right here is where Yellowstone's, or right here is where Yellowstone's at, right? Right there. And in these black areas, this black one, this here, 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 and up there, those are the locations where they never totally eradicated. So you can see in Yellowstone, there were about 200 individuals left. Over in eastern Montana, there's 10. 20 there in New Mexico. And so on. A little bit in Oklahoma, Kansas. The ones up in Canada there, where it says 550, I forget the exact name of that park, but I think it's like Woods National Park or National Park or something. Somewhere like that. It's definitely Woods. That is an area where they have subsisted this entire time, free, not been hunted to extinction. And they still have natural connections. That Wood Buffalo National Park. Up there, we'll get on that a little bit later this semester. Up there is where we pull a lot of the wolves to reintroduce them to American bison. We pull them from there and we introduce them to Yellowstone and the French Church Center. And that's an important distinction because the wolves there are bison. There's one pack. That's an interesting phenomenon. Most of the bison, they got down to, what is that, like definitely less than 1,000 wild individuals. Now, here's a better picture of it. It used to be somewhere in the realm of, this is the estimate, 50 to 60 million. There's no way for us to really know the exact number, of course. Now there's about 21,000 in conservation herds. Those herds are all around. There's a bunch in Wyoming. There's a bunch in Montana. There's some here in Idaho, where Gray's Lake is at. There's one right outside of there. And there's some linking in like the greater Yellowstone ecosystem that leads up to Canada right there. There's some like northwest that way. And then there's about 420,000 in commercial herds for bison meat and bison leather. Most bison today, I don't think you'd be able to find any of them, even in the wild, Yellowstone or anywhere else, that don't have some cattle in a rat. They are vulnerable to certain diseases that cattle get. I forget the specific name of it now, but maybe someone in here knows. There was one in the mid 2000s that was a problem for bison. And if they just get the vaccine, then they're fine. Okay. Some regional conservation areas that are big is one, Native American communities such as the Shoshone-Bannock or Nez Perce, or Navajo, a little bit down in Arizona there.
Then you have things like the Greater Yellowstone Coalition. Does anybody know what that is? Heard of it? Yeah, this part of it. Okay. Yeah. Any guesses to what it is? Just take a stab. What is a coalition? A group of what? Yeah, just a group of people that are gathered together for whatever specific purpose. The Greater Yellowstone Coalition was scientists that either live and or work in the Greater Yellowstone ecosystem, which extends out to where we are here. And are set on trying to preserve as much of the natural ecosystem as possible. So the Greater Yellowstone Coalition, for example, has been pretty instrumental in trying to keep grizzly bears on the endangered species list until the Yellowstone population meets up to the Canadian population. Right now, they're about 50 miles apart in where each of their distributions are, which is not quite close enough to have any kind of migration or genetic drift between. But as soon as they link up and you get individuals migrating to the population from one to the next, then you can have species interaction, of course, specific interaction, and you can have then more genetic diversity in a genetic drift, which would go a long way ensuring their long-term survival. But if we open them up to hunting, take them off and do the species list habits, then you just go back to the problem solution. Scientifically. But some people care about it. Last time I checked, they were trying to get grizzly bears off the endangered species list entirely. They succeeded with 4%. We're on the endangered species list for 15 years or 14 years, so they got to take it off and managed by the states, which was a horrendous decision. Okay, then you have the Buffalo Field Campaign. I don't know nearly as much about that, admittedly, but it's just like a conservation group similar to the Greater Yellowstone Coalition, but it's not made up of primarily research scientists. It's a conservation group. That's like right in the way. Up in the corner. There we go. Okay, here is a taxonomy tree showing you where bison used to be. Okay, this is the old one, and I'll show you the new. The new thing is that through genetic screening, we've put bison and yak closer together. The bison is actually more related to a yak than a bison. Has any of you heard of a bison before? Okay. Just going off the name and just by the picture that's there, what does it look
Like another bison.
like? It looks like another bison. This is like the European variant of an American bison. They're slightly smaller, not by much. Right? For all intents and purposes, if you were in Europe and you saw a bison walking around, you would be like, oh, that's an American bison. It's not. It's a bison too. Slightly different, but you'd be forgiven for thinking it was the same thing. Genetic species or genetic analysis shows you it's a little bit different. Going to that, if you pull up Canvas and go to the modules here, I have this paper. You can freely download it, take a read. If I were you, I would take a read. I don't often, but I might put something as like a bonus question on midterm exam for this. You know, it might be like a little bonus short essay or something like that, worth a few points. This
You guys familiar with what mitochondrial DNA is? What's mitochondrial DNA? DNA in the mitochondria. How is that different from normal DNA? Only? Mitochondrial DNA is usually passed down by the mother. It doesn't have to be. Before 2018, when I started grad school, we used to say it was always passed down by the mother only. In 2018, there's a paper that came out that showed that wasn't true. And so, yet again, something that we thought was an absolute in biology was proven to not be true at all. Sometimes it comes from the father. Is it rare? Yes. Does it happen? Yes. So, yeah, there's very few absolutes in biology. I mean, not even glycolysis is an absolute. So that's the thing. This paper here uses mitochondrial DNA to look at gene flow between a wisent and cattle, and then compare it to American bison, yak, kaya, taurine cattle, zebu cattle, African water buffalo, and try to parse out a better phylogenetic relationship between all of them. And kind of was a little bit unclear. I got it mostly figured out, but of course, further refining is always better. Yeah. The change was adopted in 2021. That being said, it's not such a big change to where it makes much difference to most people, right? The species name is still bison bison. It's still part of the same genus. All of that's true. But we just kind of moved on the tree where they were. We're no longer having bison here. We've moved bison over here with yak. Okay. All right. All right. Here's your general taxonomic structure for bison. You're probably good with Eukarya, Animalia, Chordata, and Mammalogy. Yeah. What is Archaeopteryx? Any idea? We haven't gotten there yet. Yes. Yes. This is whether you're long in even or odd toe ungulates. Okay. There's different orders depending on what it is. So even toe ungulate would be an example of here, or here, elk, or what do you got for odd toe? Horses. Horses are one. What? Horses are one. So this is when you're looking at even an you're looking at what fingertip digits they're walking. Like I said, we'll get on more later. But essentially, ungulates are walking, and most bottoms are walking on the edge of their fingertips. So odd-toed ungulates are walking on their middle finger. And even-toed ungulates are walking on their middle finger and their index. Okay. Anybody been down besides been down to the museum? Okay. Did you see this all the last lot of props? What is that thing? Huge, right? So, yeah, it's like a longhorned bison. Y'all know the longhorn steer from Texas. It's basically if you were to just make that bison. Right? One of the things that is somewhat hard for me to the American bison we have now, most of them, and you've seen a few males that are like as big as a boy. Right. That truck is probably trying to hold bison in the hole. Because it's hilarious. the smallest of the species of bison that exists. It used to be way bigger, way bigger, such that here's your bison. Here's what we see and we're gonna see over the weekend. And then you go left and they just get larger and larger and larger. Bison priscus, for example, is what, about twice the weight on the lower end. Doesn't have to be quite as large, but on the lower end, it's almost twice as much. So females weigh about as much as a smallish bull male. Stood a little bit taller. Then you go over to bison latifrons, and that thing weighs 2 tons. Right? Tons, 2,000 pounds, so you get 2 tons of animal there that stands over 8 feet tall. Gigantic animal. This lives before the Pleistocene. We'll get into the Pleistocene more. As you know, megafauna, giants, the muscle.
Unless ops are resident of that as well.
Yeah.
Or giant goat.
They're more closely related to cattle, bison, buffalo. But I would have to look at the tree. Yes, brucellosis. That's it. Did you look it up? Yeah, brucellosis. Okay. You might ask, how did they get here? You know what the Bering Land Bridge was? Everyone familiar with it? How big was it? Was it like the Golden Gate? Huge, right? It was a couple 100 miles wide. It wasn't just like this small thing. So bison get here by that the same way we got here, right? Humans were not from North America, right? Where did we say that we're at Africa? The Rift Valley in Africa. In what modern day country? Kenya's really close. South Africa. Kenya's really, really close. It's not Chad. You're skirting around potentially. Oh, Dandy. No, that's far. No, that's too far inland. That's rainforest. What has some rainforest in it is mostly savanna. More than that. Does anybody know where Lucy is? Delicious coffee. Did you think that and I did say it?
Well, I think I said it really quietly. Yeah, that's just another guy.
I didn't think that.
Well,
With some confidence. Yeah, Ethiopia.
I know.
Yeah, it's right next to the eastern wall, right? Okay. That's our best guess for where humans came from. And then we expanded outward from there. We eventually walked over here, literally, right? Okay. And developed a bunch of different species along the way, right? There's us, the Neanderthals and Denisovans, so on and so on. Okay. We get across this Bering Land Bridge. That is, well, technically still there, right? But it's just under the Bering Sea, right? I guess if you could drain the sea somehow, you could just do the same thing again. Right? Here is an important concept that you'll get exposed to now and again later. This is some physiology, anatomy and physiology, how ungulates, ruminants in particular, will digest their food. You've all seen cattle chew cud and stuff, right? You know what cud is.
be some kind of food either through browsing or grazing. Do you know the difference between browsing and grazing? Kind of, you're doing that in both areas, in both.
Grazing more grasses.
Grazing is more grasses and small little herbs and forbs. Browsing would be shrubs, woody shrubs, picking it off trees, loading trees, stuff like that. Right? You often see, like, you go down to Meat Creek, usually about this time or a little bit earlier in summer, you can see a bunch of shrubs that browse. High level, higher, a little bit higher. But that's the fact that some of this is why. Has anyone ever seen a rattlesnake? Not over there. Yeah, I've never seen it. People tell me they see them all the time. I've never seen it. Yeah, but I've never seen it. I just keep thinking people are like, trouble. I know they're there. Okay. Ruminant digestion. So this is cattle, this is bison, this is horses, for example. Right? They browse or graze something. No, comes in, they swallow it, goes down their esophagus, and then goes into their rumen. What's in their rumen? A lot of mud. Okay. Is it bio or different? Okay. Yeah. No, we're gonna try. Some bacteria there. What did you say? Okay, that's did someone say bacteria? Some, yeah, mixture of all that. But it's just ruminating. It's called that because you know the term ruminating. Yeah. Ruminating, right? Essentially churning like yourself, but in a much larger, ruminants go through rumination. Okay. Then after it's there for a little bit, what happens? They throw it up right into their mouth, where they continue to chew it more. Right? You can see deer do this. You see a bunch of throw it up a little bit, then they'll chew it more, and they'll just sit there and chew it and chew it and chew it and chew it. Right? Eventually, they'll swallow it again. Go back into their rumen. At that point, they'll pass into this, like what's how it's labeled for different sections. They'll go into their reticulum. From there, it goes into the masum, then into the abomasum, small or large intestine. The chamber of their stomach that is most like what we think of their stomach is like is the abomasum area. That's like the one that's filled with more acid. That is like tearing apart stuff just by a pH value that's there. But throughout in their reticulum and in their omasum is much more bacteria than we have in ours. Right? So we have a suite of bacteria in our microbiome. But we can't digest things like grass. Right? You can eat grass, but what's going to happen? It's just going to come out just the way it came in. Right? Like you're not going to get anything from it. Why? We don't have the particular bacteria in our gut to digest the cellulose that is in. The cellulose itself is too strong for us to break down that acid alone. And so you need an outside source. Similar to how, I don't know, you remember what nitrogen fixers are? Similar to how a nitrogen fixer is needed for like the rhizome of trees to break it down atmospheric nitrogen. The bond is just too strong, right? So it needs a particular bacteria to do that, to then access the nitrogen in the atmosphere. Same thing here. You need a particular bacteria to break down cellulose in order to access in that. You can't do that with grasses or anything that has a lot of cellulose in it, i.e. Corn kernels, right? You can eat corn, you can digest the inside of the kernel, but the outside of the kernel, obviously you can't, right? Any 2-year-old knows that to be true, right? As soon as they're potty training, they're like, oh, look, there's corn. Or if you've seen Austin Powers, maybe you know what I'm talking about. No? Potty training. Corn. All right, this is a pathway of how you're going to go through the 4-chamber stomach of a ruminant. In the mouth through browsing or grazing, down into the rumen. You can see the blue line coming here, and it's going to ruminate here, come out. They're going to vomit it back up slightly, chew their cud, and then swallow it back down until it gets to the next 4 chambers. We'll go over this again to make sure you get it, but we're already out of time. I'll see you Friday. I'll pick back up, go from there, and then we'll say more. I'll put in an announcement on campus just to make sure. Okay. Questions, anybody? Yeah.
So leaving out here, do I have to bring my stuff down, or could like pick it up on the way out? My car.
Yeah, but she's. What I would do. Yeah, what I would do is this. I would come over here, park, put all your stuff in our vehicles, and then go to wherever you're going to park your car. That way you don't have to like carry it, and we don't have to make an extra stop at the car. So that's why I want to give like meet at 8 and leave by 9. That way we have time to get everybody to do what they need to do.